What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another Squawk with Swoop. It's two in a row. It's a bit of a fan cam time. Good mate of mine, Alex Prestney. How you going, mate? Welcome to
Good
the
man.
channel.
Good to be on. Finally good. Finally good to be here.
No, thank you, mate. Thank you for coming on. You want to sort of talk a little bit about yourself and what you do and stuff like that, so that everyone sort of knows.
Yeah, well, obviously, avid Pies fan, just like our whole family. But I'm a police member with Victoria Police. Currently stationed in with Highway Patrol, and recently I've just done a run from Mildura to Melbourne, which you advertise as well on your page,
Yes.
and very grateful for that support. Your brother's a police officer as well, isn't he?
Yeah, so that's kind of as well like where our sort of connection comes from, and yeah, my brother is a police officer. He's been doing it. He'll probably tell me off. He's been doing it for 3 or 4 years,
Oh
maybe.
yeah.
Stationed. He was stationed out in Brunswick, and now he's stationed out in Faulkner now. But yeah, he loves it. So I know,
Mm.
yeah, I know sort of the emotional side to it and what he sort of tells me and stuff. And yeah, I obviously huge respect for what you guys do. I couldn't do it. Justin, my brother, tells me, we did this and this, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I'm too much. I'm too much of a sort of, and you through this channel and the vlogs and stuff, and then what I do after the game, I wear my heart on
Yeah.
my sleeve too much. I don't think I can put that away. You know.
It's yeah. Sometimes yeah. It's a weird way to sort of try and yeah. Or that all sort of works out when you're in your training and what you sort of get exposed to and things like that. But obviously, yeah, not everyone likes us, but we try and I emphasize as well that we make sure that we just try and be the best people that we can be to everybody.
Exactly.
It's you treat everybody how you'd like to be treated. And it's as simple as that. From the experience that I've had, and the reasoning that I've had for running for road trauma as well as obviously been a huge sort of thing in my I'd say pathway to be
Yep.
both police officer and also just trying to be a good human at the same time as well. So yeah, that's been very oh, difficult and but also
Yeah.
rewarding at the same time in a weird way.
Yeah, and it is a bit like that, and we will talk about that run because yeah, like you said, I sort of posted about it and stuff like that, and
Mm.
it was incredible seeing you on that journey. I have a sort of little joke with my family and stuff that I'm pretty good at the beep test. I reckon I can get over a 15. That was about 15 years ago, so I don't know if
Yeah,
I can do that now. So running from Mildura back home is insane, but
yeah,
look, let's talk about your love for the Pies, how it started, how you're feeling
yeah.
in prelim week, and then we'll kind of go back into that road trauma stuff.
Yeah, well, God, just like the cliche, like everybody with a Collingwood family, it's my father, my grandfather, it just everyone's just black and white, and
Yep.
it's same with my brother Josh, and it's sort of with that, it's where you find your identity, especially with a lot of people when it comes to a sporting club or a sporting team or just a team that they just love and in a sport that they love, you you find your identity with that as well.
Yep.
And through people who play footy, people who have just grown up around footy. Um, I've for the Collingwood Footy Club. It's just there's no wonder like our slogans have been so one eyed and and things like that because that's what makes the club so amazing and how when you've got that amazing support for Collingwood, there's no bandwagon
Yep.
or there's no hanger oners or things like that. It's you are black and white and there is
Yep.
no in between, and that's what we've always had all throughout our lives growing up with footy. I remember it vividly walking home on the train from Alphington Station after the 2002 grand final loss to
Far out.
Brisbane. I remember sort of, we walk, I don't know how far it was, less than a kilometre from the station to home, and we were walking ahead, and Josh was sort of, lagging behind, tears in his eyes, and just sort of, not and sort of mum sort of went to dad and said, "Oh, is Josh all right?" And dad just said, "Just leave him. This is this is footy. This is the intro.
Yeah,
This is what
it
it's like."
is.
And,
Yeah.
and feeling the heartbreak of footy and um, prelim week. God, it's like I just said before we went on, I'm just confident because,
Yeah,
and it's sort of, is it because we've been here before? Is it because it's we're coming into our own environment, being the MCG, um, where it'll be 95% Collingwood fans and 5% GWS fans. I've never met anybody who goes for GWS, and I doubt I ever will. Um, but I've just got this confidence about us because it's what I want. I want to be confident. I want to have the euphoric feeling of feeling like we're on top of this. For finally, these things will
yeah.
go our go our way.
Yeah, and look, like you said, so before we sort of jumped on, you asked me, how I was feeling, and I said, I was feeling pretty nervous, and I think as Collingwood supporters, especially in these sort of big games, there's always that like in the back of your mind, it just eats away at you. It's the what ifs and stuff, and
Yep.
this morning I posted an Instagram, and yeah, I don't. One thing that is a bad habit with me is I don't practice what I preach. So when I posted an Instagram video this morning on my way to work, and I had a coffee and stuff, and I'm like, guys, soak it in. It's prelim week. It doesn't come around very often, and paint the town black and white. And take it a day at a time. And then as I finished that post, I just kept walking. I go far out. I am nervous as hell, but it fluctuates. Like I'll be really confident at times. I'll be really nervous at times. But I like that mentality of just going in like, what do we got to lose besides a grand final
That's
spot?
it.
Everything, and if you eat away at a whole week being nervous, you don't get to enjoy.
That's it. And we've over the years we've seen the lows of Collingwood, where the late 2000s, or maybe not, 2004, 5, 6, not great years for the Pies.
Yep.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, not great years.
No.
And so what I'm liking is seeing the great type of footy that is the best, and what got
Hmm.
Collingwood to the top of the ladder. And that's where it's like, no, we're there for a reason. We didn't just um, whatever people might say about the draw or that they
Yep.
had, or teams that they played and things like that, where they hit their straps the best, but top of the ladder for a reason, and it's the best type of footy that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And at times it happens. It's the AFL. It's the best of the best. You're not going to have teams that are going to win by hundreds of points, like you
Yep.
see in AMOs or EFL or things like that, where there's
Yeah.
a team that's just
Yeah.
no good and can't get any
Yeah.
better. Teams will always go up and down in terms of how they play, whether they're top or whether they're bottom.
Yep.
So, but still at the same time, overall, it's the best sort of footy especially that I've seen, and it's I liken it to a lot of things for what we observed in 2010, where
Hmm.
the unsociable footy that was a bit
Yep.
of a trademark about making sure about and how to best go about approach the game. It's just really been awesome to see.
Yeah, and that was sort of my next question. Is this the best footy you've seen? Because I talked about it a lot this year, and I said it reminds me of a lot of 2011, that sort of elation. Like, I know, obviously we didn't get the chocolates in 2011, but going into those games confident and it was fun.
Mm.
And kind of like 2018 as well. But yeah, this is probably the most fun I've had as a Collingwood supporter. Last year was fun, but this year everything's starting to click a little bit more.
Mm.
And it's a good sort of time. What's been your favourite win this year?
I would say against Port Adelaide, where we beat them by 70 points. That
Yeah,
was watching
yeah,
that game was, even though it was an absolute steamrolling, it that what to me is what stood out. Where to the rest of the competition, well, I think it was round 2 or round
yep.
3 or
Round
something
two.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it sort of put a stamp on things where we look really threatening and the team to beat. Like I've been saying to my old man for a long time, we haven't had that time where we've been feared. Even
Yep.
whether or not people have that feeling about Collingwood at the moment about going up against them, I still hope that there is that notion of other clubs really not just Collingwood plays the game, but the environment that they find themselves in, the
Yeah.
supporter base. We always hear that even opposition players go, geez, your fan base is incredible. It's just out of this world. And that's what I think as a Collingwood community really got to embrace that. Really got to
Yeah.
sort of, even if you can ramp it up even higher. And, sometimes for me, it's very bittersweet because it is something that Josh would absolutely be loving. He was the most one-eyed out of all of us. He, in a way, had that Collingwood thuggery about him. He just didn't really care what anyone else. He loved and respected the game of footy, obviously, but when it came to
Yeah.
Collingwood and players for Collingwood, there was no changing, his mind about things when it came to what he thought about the Pies, and
Yeah.
that's where it's kind of like, geez, I wish, even if go all the way, and it get to hold the Premiership Cup up, it'll be so bittersweet because
Yeah.
things that people people who have lost people who are supporters and big time supporters of their clubs, there is that sort of real sting where you go, I know you're watching, but I wish you could really experience this and be part of it.
Yeah. And um, yeah. So, oh Jesus, it's hard to. I can't. You're talking about it, and it kind of, and we'll talk about Josh and how that leads into the run for road trauma, and you're right. Like these sort of wins are a bittersweet. Like I had my grandma pass away. Jesus, 5 or 6 years ago, and after every game that Collingwood played, she'd call me up. She'd be like, "Luke, congratulations," or "Luke, I'm so sorry that you guys lost,"
Yeah,
because she knew how much it sort of
yeah,
ate at me. But like, and that's just the beauty of the game and the bittersweetness, and we know that they're sort of looking on from somewhere else and urging us on, but there's always that sort of emptiness next to you, whether that's a seat next to you or beers after a game.
yeah,
But I guess it's a good time now to sort of talk about your journey with Josh. The police as well, the journey and the run to road trauma, which is something that's I wholeheartedly believe in. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, with it when it comes to the importance to me is with this sort of thing when um so when Josh passed away, um we got in contact with Collingwood, and you know it was, and being in the media as it was, and being quite of high profile, unfortunately,
yeah,
they just gave us tremendous support in this, and what was so comforting was that it felt like we really weren't alone, but for something so we never thought we'd be that close with Collingwood, and especially when um, we have things like we had the 2010 Premiership Cup in our living room,
yeah,
and it was when they brought it over. They brought it over in a case. So this was probably a few weeks after the incident, and just found myself at one point just holding the Premiership Cup like it's like this giant tin. It's a
yeah,
really weird feeling, and I'm just holding it, going, why am I holding this?
yeah,
And just having it sort of, it became like part of our furniture because the guys at Collingwood said, "Oh yeah, just whenever you need it." We had it present at his funeral. My grandfather presented it, during the
wow,
ceremony at basically, and yeah, put the Premiership Cup on the altar, and it was like it was in the end, because they said there's no rush in getting it back. We'll come over and we'll pick it up, and so there's these, about for a week or so after we had the Premiership Cup like on our mantelpiece or just above the fireplace, and it was just sort of like some people would come in and go, "That's a Premiership Cup." We go, "Yeah, that's the 2010 Premiership Cup." You're just like,
all right,
"What? What have you?" And so then it eventually clicked, but for them to sort of really just go, no, that's important to you. This is what,
yeah,
and the support that, and they do it for everybody. They do it for people who might just in the same circumstances, it wasn't a special case for us. They've had other times where they've given the Premiership Cup, other things for funeral ceremonies for people
Yeah,
who of members and things like that. And that's just it really brought us just close to something that we never thought we'd ever, be, I guess, known by the club with that. And just that's what I want to emphasize with, this club, just allowing themselves to really be part of your life in any way. You're not just an
yeah,
outsider who just sits on and just cheers for them. They make you feel part of them, and in the most horrible way. You just go, for anybody, you go, you wish you never had to have the Premiership Cup in your lounge room
yeah,
because it's for a terrible reason. But at the same time, you go, I'm just so glad that they cared like that. And you want to give
yeah.
back by just loving them so much as well, no matter if they win or lose. I mean, 2020, 2021 weren't great seasons, but at the same time, you just go, it doesn't matter. This club is everything to me, no matter if they win or lose.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. That's like,
So,
uh,
yeah,
it's such a, that sort of. I've got to choose my words. It's not. It's a beautiful gesture, like what they sort of what they
yeah,
did there, and that's what we don't hear, and I'm sure every other club does it as well. But that's sort of, we don't hear those sort of things
no,
and stuff like that, and it's so beautiful coming from such a emotional place, and during this sad time where, you know there's there's just one sort of, in a dark forest, there's just one sort of flower that sort of blooms sometimes, and
mm,
and it just, and it's, yeah, like it's insane, like, and going from that, and having the cup there, and Josh's, he did everything that sort of happened, and the pies. I remember, so this would have been before we started talking, but I remember that day, where they put it up on the big AIA set, or it was the Holden Centre back then, or whatever it was, and
yeah,
there was the VAR there, sort of Josh, Prestney up there, and that,
mm,
and because my brother is a police officer as well, it just, really really hit me deep, and I guess that's where our sort of connection sort of came from, and,
mm,
and obviously through Collingwood as well, and it really hit me deep that day, and it's still hitting me, deep now, and that kind of leads us to your whole run for trauma. You want to sort of talk about
yeah,
that? You want to talk about that?
yeah, and yeah. So I'm very thankful as well that you were able to, share it and things like that, and for again, Collingwood getting on board and
Yeah,
giving a Guernsey to raffle off. Just basically, and I'm sorry to say to people who are, might watch this, who went into the draw, but there are a lot of people who went into the draw. I've got a Saints Guernsey and a Geelong Guernsey. Not many people have gone into the running for that, but the Pies one is hot property. I haven't drawn a winner yet. I meant to do it last week, but I just hadn't got around to it yet. But I will hopefully this weekend. But yeah, there are a lot of people in the draw for that Guernsey. And so that was just fantastic that they just sort of thought, um, obviously approaching the right people like Collingwood, and they just said, yeah, we'll give you this to raffle off to raise money for road trauma. And yeah, I thought that running from 560 kilometers from Mildura to Melbourne was a good idea to try and do that. It was just, yeah. That whole experience was just a lot of fun, just a
yep,
lot of fun, and an adventure. Nonetheless, it was, people would go, geez, even the drive from Mildura is boring, and I'd go, well, maybe running it might be a bit more adventurous. But yeah, along the way, stopping off at in rural towns and getting to know like the local football netball clubs, Wishy
yep,
Proof, got did an amazing job with donating a lot of their raffle takings, and the Sea Lake Nandali Footy Club donated their gatekeepings, which is just a touch above
wow,
$2,000
wow,
for a small country town. They've just fantastic. And Charlton as well introduced us to when it was Charlton against Witchy Proof, and a few other along the way. Can't remember. I think they were the main sort of the clubs that really got on board. And I've never seen country footy before, and so it was good to incorporate that into the run. And times where we just found ourselves sometimes where we had to watch the footy on our phone because there was no Foxtel. I think when we were playing Hawthorn, I'd done 30Ks, and I was just like, I don't need
Yeah.
this. I don't need this. Shellacking after this run. I didn't know what was going on with us then. But yeah, it was just something. This whole run was just some way that I just wanted to try and make a difference for so many people who are affected and still navigating the difficulties of road trauma and
Yeah.
losing someone to road trauma or being involved in road trauma themselves. And within my work as well, it's
Yeah.
what I do day in, day out. Some people might sort of
Yeah.
go, geez, you're exposing yourself to a lot here. You might, something that's always going to, road trauma and, the difficulties that we face when using the roads in Victoria and across the country, it's every single day. But this was just my way of just trying to make a difference, and we've raised just a touch over $30,000, which is
Wow.
pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, so at the cost of running 500Ks, but
Yep. Yep.
yeah, it's just been amazing, and all those funds are going to the Amber community, which is a community that just helps out victims and also provides education for people who have been
Yeah.
affected in whatever way. It could be, your cousin has been involved in a collision and you're just looking for advice, or you're looking for
Yeah.
a way to sort of navigate and help you
Navigate. Yeah.
help you sleep at night a little bit better if you're sort of having a sliding doors moment or whatever, or
Yeah.
you just want to know a bit more about different types of, I don't know, a bit more. You want to educate yourself with
Yeah.
things, or you want to find it a bit more, or as well, if you've been affected by road trauma, if you want to join and be part of my mum's now, she's got a good idea to be an advocate and join their team to be that real life example and offer her story where she can as well. And it's something and I said to her, it's a way to feel empowered in a small way and offer your story, and not just the story about Josh and Glenn and Kevin and Lynette and how they lost their lives, but how it affects just one person, but also how different it is for everybody else that is
Yeah.
affected in some way. So, yeah, it was just the simplest thing that I thought that I could do, as Josh being a runner as well, being
Yep.
into sport and things like that. I thought, yeah, running from Mildura to Melbourne, tough, but at the same time, it was just a lot of fun. And injuries that plagued me during my time playing football reared their ugly head while I was running, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been, coming back down to earth from it all, from a big high, we're finishing it or just being in the middle of it. And now it's just getting back into the swing of life. And now we've got a preliminary final to worry about on the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Bloody hell. But like, so first off, that's, congratulations. And I said this, privately between us. It's an amazing feat. It's crazy. Absolutely. Like,
People have said
just
that.
to just to sort of go, oh, you know what, I'm gonna do no, I'm not gonna do Sunbury to Craigieburn or anything like that. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
Mildura to back to Melbourne, And I
Yeah.
saw I saw in your stories, stopping at the rural like police stations as well, and I saw your dad coming on for a bit of the ride as well, and I saw your family and stuff. So it
Mm.
is sort of beautiful, and you know. When I was at high school, there was a lot of these what would you call them? Like, these what sort of what word am I looking for? The people would come down who had experienced this and talk about their experiences as well.
Mm.
So is that something that you guys are sort of trying to get into as well, going in through schools, or is it just sort of
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been approached basically through, over the years or so. It's kind of in a way to in the best way possible. Yeah, using the experience to try and
of course,
just yeah, you've got a story to tell, and it's not like you just want to sort of, you love the sound of your own voice and you just want to keep telling the story, but it's for a purpose. It's
Yeah.
so that so many people who are road users um, see this and see they don't just see what they saw on the news. They don't just see um, the snippets that we've all seen
Yeah.
of they hear actually um, things like how difficult it was for me to sleep for the last 6 months, or the court litigation process, and what sort of things like that. The actual, not just feeling devastated about losing a family member. It's you hear about how identities get lost, things that just you can't even describe it. So,
Yeah.
and that's also what I detail when I say to people, and that's why I just tell stories about something as simple as I didn't go outside for a good maybe 5 days in a row or something like that, or um, you find yourself sort of just like running on fumes, or
Yeah.
and that you just go, yeah, it's hard to describe that. That's what someone went through with road trauma, but you just go, well, that's just how it went for me.
Yeah.
I don't, and but the best way for us as a family to be able to do that is so you don't just sort of be not so desensitized, but so you see the rawness of it, of
Yeah.
somebody who's gone through this trauma. And there are so many people who
Yeah.
don't get to tell their story, who don't get to articulate how they feel about it all. And whether or not it can be overwhelming. I remember in the early stages where all you want to do is talk about it,
Yeah.
and it's like you'll talk to anybody about it, or what's going on in your head right now. And then at the end of it, you'll feel like you've done the beep test. You'll feel like you've got to level 15 of the beep test, and you'll just sort of go, "Why? Oh God, I've got to go have a sleep now. I've got to go have a nap,"
Yeah.
or you might just go, "Why did I say that?" Or "Why did I?" Oh, gee, so much, you know, navigation,
Yeah.
or and and
100%.
and changing the way that you um just go through your day happens. And it's sometimes it can be really
Of
scary.
course.
Sometimes it can be
Yeah.
it can be really. But now looking back and seeing what I can do now for myself and for people who want to listen, people who want to be part of it, you sort of go, okay, I did turn a corner. I might be
Yeah.
still turning a corner, but at the same time, yeah, I'm happy with how things have all panned out. Things might change along the way. Things have
Of
changed
course.
for the better. Um, but at the same time, it's just so good to be able to have the things that you love just still in your life as well.
Yeah.
And that's what
No.
is, for me, been the most important.
100%, and that's another reason why I wanted to sort of have the chat, and we'll get back into the pies and stuff, but this open and sort of honest chat. I'm a big advocate for mental health, and
Mm.
it's nice to see, it's nice to be raw and open, as
Yeah.
well. And for people, my viewers are on YouTube, and obviously when I post this on Instagram and stuff like that, they can see that, it's okay to be like this, and you know
Mm.
what I mean. And and then it's nice to, leading back into the pies now, it's nice to sort of have that little outlet where you can
Yep.
be, it's not like, it's not guilt or anything now to sort of go into that and be like, this is where
Mm.
it is now, and it is prelim week, and like you said, it is bittersweet. But what does it like fully mean? Going. I assume you're going on Friday.
Yep. Yep. Got a ticket this morning.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful, awesome. That's good. That's good. That helps this next bit.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? You going with your family, or what's?
Yeah. Going along with dad. Yeah, been a member, I think 25 years or something like that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, what it means is that, and it just came to me as well, where it's like, even though I might talk about so many things that happened along the way, and as days and months and weeks go, the one thing that never changed was footy.
Yep.
that's sort of what always remained the same. And I would definitely say that when you relate it to Collingwood footy, that was, I would definitely say, what kept me sane. Nothing that didn't change, and it was, in a way, it was something for me to latch onto, because I knew that it was for, and there was also feeling that connection with Josh.
Yep.
It's I remember, and what just kept bringing it back was, I remember, this is a funny story. So maybe about a week or so after it, my phone just kept going, with people ringing, and I got to the point where I'm like, oh, God, who's ringing me? I don't, I'm not going to answer that, and
Yeah.
just put my phone down, check my voicemail, and I get a voicemail saying, "Oh, g'day, Alex. It's Eddie Maguire from the Collingwood Football Club."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, I better call him back." So yeah, and just having a chat with Eddie about Josh, and just about, I can't even remember what we talked about. And then in turn, Dad getting, close with Eddie in a brief format, by also just, being sort of similar in age.
Yep.
Just having that person that they're attached to that massive part of your life. And then also the exact same thing that happened with Eddie, and dodging his call. The same with Bucks called me one
Oh
day and
wow.
said, "Can you give me a call when you can?" And afterwards, I sort of felt like, didn't want to sort of be uh, that guy who, I don't know, throughout the 2020 season, but I, thought, oh, I had Nathan Buckley's number. I'll send him a text after the elimination final, and he replied straight away. And that, to me, was sort of thinking, geez, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
They're just regular guys who just appreciate what you appreciate as well. And throughout, years and years, years and years since, it's just always just feeling Josh with us as part of the Pies community, and just making sure that he is always with us when it comes to Collingwood and when it comes to footy. Um, every I would put his. I remember last year I had his. What was it, like, the old Adidas jumper with the black stripe in the middle. Had that
Yep.
out. I always had that out by his photo when we watched the footy. My mum put on his size 0 knitted woolen jumper on my daughter the other week, and things like that. And just keeping, like, the memorabilia from years and years ago. There's autographs on Guernseys from, like, Josh Fraser, Nathan Buckley, Scott Burns, Paula Curia, those guys. And you sort of just go, geez, there is no way in hell that I'm ever going to let go of this football club, because it's what we did as kids. And it's something that I want to, and will be proud to, with my daughter as well, to make her part of, and I mean, when I say make her, um, part of such an identity, where it's just love for the club that has been part of your life for such a long time. But they make you feel really, really part of it too. It's not like you feel like you're hanging on the outer, or just,
Of course.
it's this real come with vibe, and this come with community with that I've observed from the Collingwood Footy Club. And that's where we'll always hold on to it so dearly to us. When it was,
Yeah.
from walking back from the 2002 grand final loss, um, all the way up until God knows when.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, you talked about, putting out Josh's old jumper next to a photo when you guys watched the footy and stuff like that. Is there a way you are going to sort of honor him on Friday? Is there like, is it like a beer, or is it smashing a pie or something like that? Or do you have any sort of those little traditions with your dad at the footy?
No, we never had any sort of traditions like that. It's just as simple as having a beer at the footy. Just
Yeah,
as simple as that. Um, never was into sort of big gestures, like, wearing his jumper wouldn't fit me or anything like that anymore. But it's just making sure that we've got him with us, even if it's something like just one of his old, Collingwood pins, or to making sure
yeah,
that his candles lit with his Collingwood scarf around it on the night, just to make sure that, you know, there is still one supporter in the house watching. And, you know, like we said last year, it's like he's there, he's willing, he's part of this as well, and feeling the energy of it, because God, he had a lot of energy when it came to Collingwood and watching games and things like that. So just feeling that and making sure that I don't even really have to make sure. I just have that really close feeling about it when it comes to Collingwood. There might have been things that we differed on as kids and as adults, but the one thing that never deviated was Collingwood and football.
And it's just, yeah, I guess just summing it, all up is just amazing. Like you keep saying, that you have this to still feel so close with him. And on Friday, when Craig McRae, when whoever else it is calls for the 19th man, I know, your dad knows, we all know that Josh is going to be there with all of us. He is the 19th
Yep.
man. He's a part of that.
Yep.
And we are going to will this team over the line to get into a grand final, mate.
That's
That's
it.
what's going to
That's
happen.
it. Yeah, and because he would not let it happen, and he'd have the same confidence as well. He would be saying, "I am not letting GWS of all teams take that grand final spot from us." And
Yeah,
as well, even if we come up against Brisbane, if we come up against Carlton in a grand final, he'd have the same thing. He'd be furious if we came up against Brisbane in a grand final, because with and me as well, I'm not losing another grand final to
no,
Brisbane.
no, no.
So yeah, that's just I feel like the confidence that I'm having about it is just to make sure that it's just there's no doubt in what a great feeling it's going to be on Friday night, and then hopefully going forward into the week after.
Yeah, and I think after this chat, I think from here on in, that's the confidence I'm gonna go in with, because you have to enjoy it, mate. You have
That's
to,
it. Yep.
you have to, so
Mm.
just soak it in. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
just got to soak it in.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'll always, it's hard to describe how like you have the feeling about it, and I guess maybe it's just sometimes it's perspective that sort of takes over that, where I will be as passionate as anybody, the loudest I could possibly be, but in the end, I'll still say it's just a game.
Yeah,
In the end,
yeah,
you'll just go, it's all right. It's just a game. Let's as tough as it is to swallow when it comes to all sport. There's got to
yeah.
be a loser. There's got to be this. It's no one's, as a saying we have in Vicpol, no one's taking your birthday away from you. No one's. You go, oh yeah, losing a. So it was the same with 2018, losing a grand final. You go, I still had everything I needed,
Yeah,
even when the siren went, whether we had won or not, win or lose this weekend. It's just that we'll go around again next year, and if that doesn't help,
100%.
Collingwood will always be there. Footy will always be there, and you just treat it with as much fun as you possibly can. Because I just go, it's just a game. I don't need my blood pressure raised any more than I have over the last 3 years with dealing with all of that nonsense. But I just go, I'm just so grateful that it is a game to love as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful message to sort of end everything on. Before I do sort of let you go, a couple of things.
Mm.
Run for road trauma. Can we still donate? Where is all of that? And your tip for Friday night, and
Yeah,
the grand finalists, I guess, while we're here.
yeah. So I've reopened the donations for the Run for Road Trauma, because I want to sort of give it a bit more time to, if people want to enter in the raffle for the
Yep,
Guernsey. Yeah, so I think it's a difficult website, because I set it up with a third party. They're called Raisley. So it's, if you just Google "Run for Road Trauma,"
yep.
there'll be a way that you can.
Okay,
It'll hopefully still come up the same way. So yeah, runforroadtrauma.raisley.com is the actual website, but Google "Run for Road Trauma." Um, yeah, so I just reopened that after closing it. So yeah, just
yep,
more
cool.
the more the merrier, I'd say.
Yep, yep.
My tip, obviously, Collingwood by 41.
Holy! I knew you were confident, but I didn't know you were that bloody confident.
Yep,
Jeez.
yep. I'm
Oh my
just
God.
Yep. Collingwood
Oh,
by
it's,
41.
I hope so. I hope
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Oh my
That's
God.
if that's just what I'm feeling in my heart right at this moment. If it's a bit different, I'll go, oh, well, okay, well, it's just a tip, but yeah, I'm going for that because
I love it.
you could tip, oh yeah, Collingwood by 84 could happen,
Yeah, could
but
happen.
yeah, I'll go
Yep.
Collingwood by 41 for Friday night.
And Carlton Brisbane, who we play in the grand final.
We will play Brisbane in the grand final.
Good. I hope you'd say that. Awesome. That's good.
100%. Yeah. As
Look,
much as I would love, and my Vic bias, is in
yeah,
full swing, I didn't. I won't say it too loud to my partner being a Carlton supporter, but I just, yeah, good on them for getting
yep,
this far. Really good on them for people always say it's good for the game. Um, the more Vicks, the merrier. But
yep.
anything could happen. Who knows? Who knows what the hell could happen on Saturday night?
Nah, exactly right. Alex, thank you so much for joining me today, mate. I really do
Thanks for having me,
appreciate
Luke.
it. All the links are down below. That will be on my Instagram and whatnot. I'll see you on Friday. Up the mags.
Yep, absolutely. Go Pies.
See you, mate. Thanks for that.
See you, mate.